Welcome back to Inside the Boardroom, only on CEO.CA. In this segment, we're talking about XXIX, a company advancing both its Opimiska and Thierry copper projects, significant copper deposits here in Canada. A pleasure to welcome Stephen Stewart, CEO and Chair of XXIX. Stephen, welcome to the show.
Good day, Rachel. Thank you for having me.
So you kicked off 2025 with a series of updates. Can we start off with your drill results at the Saddle Zone, Opimiska-wise?
Yeah, it's been a busy start to the year. We're very excited to see those results come out. They surprised us. We hit nearly 6% copper equivalent. That's almost all copper over an 11-meter hit. Very shallow and right in the middle of our open pit and what we call the Saddle Zone, which is the area in between the Springer and the Perry. And for those who followed our story, the Springer and the Perry were two historic underground mines. And the Saddle Zone is the area in between. And it's really not as well understood. Certainly not. It was never mined, and it has much sparser drilling. About maybe 4 or 5 months ago, one of our geologists was modeling our existing resource and just sort of noticed a potential new zone. And every now and then you can identify these new zones by looking at the 3D orientation. And he had this thesis about a different orientation of the veining because we never had a whole lot of success in that area. So we basically just tilted the drills and did a 3-drill scout program towards the end of last year, and the results came back just before the end of the new year, and we published them out. So it's great news. There's definitely need to follow up on that. So we've just had 3 holes facing this direction. We're going to go back in the not too distant future. Well, frankly, as soon as we possibly can. Probably something on the order of magnitude of 15 to 20 drill hole. Program that will aim to expand and potentially find new mineralization. So expand that zone where we got that high grade hit, see how big it is, and look for new zones that have that same orientation, which really could be impactful to not just the resource, but in particular our mine plan, which has been a core focus for us in 2024 internally.
Now, can you also go over what the scope and timeline of the follow-up drill program looks like as well?
We're designing it as we speak, so it's relatively, new to us. I don't want to be hyper specific yet because we haven't finalized and dotted the I's internally. But I would say the next few weeks, certainly a month, we'll have information on the specifics, where we're going to drill, how we're going to drill. I believe we're already permitted to do this campaign, so it's really just about making sure we understand what we're doing before we go out there and doing it, but it's sort of imminent.
Can you also comment on where the company is financially to be funding your exploration campaigns coming up?
Yeah, we have over $6 million in the bank. Plus, we have a position in baseload energy, which we're still holding. Very, very hopeful for the baseload in the uranium market to turn around, and obviously we'll monetize that when the time is right. So we're certainly well financed to do a drill program of the order of 15 holes, no problem. So cash is not a concern. Permitting is not a concern. It's really just about planning, programming, and execution.
Now, let's move on to your other update, which was about the Roger project. You've now acquired 100% ownership. Give us a background on past work at Roger and also about metallurgical compatibility with Opimiska. I know that was mentioned in the release.
Yeah, no. So Roger's very interesting. It's the jury is still out on whether Roger is operationally synergistic with the Opimiska. Time will tell there, and obviously metallurgy will play an impact there, but also proximity and grade. Obviously, when you have it's about. I think it's about 600,000 ounces at about 1 gram. Let's just call it 1 gram gold. So it's a gold deposit there. There is a copper credit there. I think there's certainly work to be done in the metallurgy and understanding Roger. But let's just assume that Roger stands on its own, and maybe it isn't operationally synergistic to Opimiska. It's still valuable. It's still surrounded by a host of other deposits. So I think it's on the balance of probabilities. I think it's more feasible that Roger stands on its own. It's really more on the eastern side of the camp. There's Dore there. There's Chibougamau Independent. There's a whole host of other call it companies and resources in the larger camp, but I'm not so sure they're going to be synergistic. So look, I'm a buyer of high quality assets in high quality jurisdictions, especially mature jurisdictions with infrastructure like the Shmugamu camp has. It's really just a function of value. For us, I think, to our purchase cost was $3 million, and it was mostly in shares. That's value when you have a bona fide deposit like it is there that we think is gonna grow. And in terms of work that's been done on Roger, it's really quite sparse. Up until a few weeks ago, we owned only 50% of it, and the way it was structured really wasn't conducive to spending an awful lot of money on it. So now that we own 100%, we're going to roll back our sleeves, take a closer look around in the area, but certainly look organically and where we can expand this relatively quickly. So yeah, Roger it's a deep value acquisition for XXIX. It gives us another position in the camp. So we're quite happy to own it. We think it's a good deal. We had great partners with the government of Quebec and SOQUEM. And they were looking for us to move it forward, and we struck a deal. And I'm very optimistic on the Shmugamu camp in general.
Okay. Well, last question before you go, Stephen. So we also know that XXIX is on the Frankfurt exchange, obviously increasing accessibility for European shareholders. First question is, is there interest already coming from this region? And does this listing play into a broader strategy for increasing your global presence?
Well, it's just about increasing liquidity and giving ease of access to European investors, specifically the Swiss and the German, through the listing on the Frankfurt exchange. I spend quite a bit of time. I'm in Europe 3 or 4 times a year at least, and I would say if I'm there, I'm likely in Germany or Switzerland, where we have a lot of investors and frankly a very educated investor base there that understands the gold and the copper and the uranium and the commodity space in general, and they tend to, anecdotally have a longer term view. Whether that's true or not, we'll see. But nonetheless, it's facilitating ease of trading for interested parties. Listing in Germany is actually fairly straightforward in terms of logistics and costs. So it's not cumbersome. It's really, I see it as a nothing but upside. That said, you got to go out there and if you build it, they don't necessarily come. You got to cater to the market and educate, inform, publish in German, and go and visit some of your shareholders out there. So it's not a change in strategy. I think it's an evolution to actually have that listing, and hopefully it moves the needle for all shareholders. Time will tell.
All right. Well, we're going to wrap it up there, Stephen, but thank you for joining us. XXIX is a company that you can find on the CEO.CA channel. Just search XXIX. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.